And what is up, my guys? It is Lindsay back at it with another Talking Toku Live, and presently, this is going to be my last video until summer is over and I'm done with that. And yeah, so this will be my last brand new video until the end of summer. All stuff's going over on History and Leisure is all old material that I've just moved over there, just kind of get the ball rolling over there without actually doing anything. I did create a brand new short for Worldwide Coaster Kids Day because I did originally decide to delete that one. Kind of regret. I actually do have all the old footage saved on a hard drive. I actually don't need it saved on Google or Microsoft. So that is good. Travel plans. I'll be based at Cedar Point this summer. I actually leave on the 4th, and I just saw that my day of training is on the 8th of May, and then park opens a week after that. So right now is that I'm just gonna stay up at Cedar Point for the event there and not go down to Holiday World. And I still want to try and get down to Kings Island, Kentucky Kingdom at some point. Hopefully, there's also quite a few small museums around the Cedar Point area, so I hope to try and do some short videos from there. Also, when I go down to Kentucky, I try and do the Kentucky Derby Museum as well. And also the Great Lakes Renaissance Fair out on the opposite side of Cleveland. Hope to try and get out there one weekend. So the only thing I really feel I would need to try and get off time for is the 4-ish days for Cedar Point and Southern Kentucky. I think I could do Kentucky Derby Museum and Kentucky Kingdom in one day. Like, get up early enough, have breakfast hotel, do the Kentucky Derby Museum, even from a little late. Kind of just missed opening. I shouldn't be that bad if I don't care about the water park at Kentucky Kingdom. But yeah, and plans for videos with that is Cedar Point. I kind of plans for SFN Line just do a thing for what's new, and then for History and Leisure do something more opinion based, like on the new ride, on pretty much everything I missed. Then again, it's been over 5 years since I've ridden stuff that I actually did, including half of Gemini. So yeah, that is kind of how things are in terms of travels. I've watched the 2 Rider movies that came out in December the other day, but I decided since there's so much Disney stuff I need to get to talk about in this stream, I'm holding off on talking about those. But I will be talking about the Zenkai Red special though, so that's kind of my cutoff point. I might do a live stream over on Instagram since I'm not going to be taking my laptop with me out to Cedar Point. It's good puppy for editing. I can play Coaster if I want to. I haven't played that hot minute. I've played off quite I think is the only game I've really played of late. And then I have papers to write. It's kind of dragging me down. Definitely not quite my best work or really what they really want at all, unfortunately. My original plan was I was going to watch Dino and Korra over summer for that, but with Dino it's going to be uploaded to YouTube, the Toei thing there. I might choose Turbo Ranger because I've wanted to watch that one for quite some time, but Korra is still on that list. There's a few stuff that is on Disney Plus that I might, but just do as well. First Class, I'm actually 4 episodes because of doing something Disney, and we watched Mandalorian for the last thing with the Star Wars clip. I actually got through episode 4, so I might just finish Mandalorian as well. Who knows? But I wasn't sure I was going to keep up with Saber and Zenkaiger, but I feel I'm gonna try my best to over like other YouTubers and stuff. Just see how things go. But yeah, so on to our new guys, Zenkaiger and Dino Fury. We've heard quite a lot of issues that were occurring like behind the scene, how like things were going and all. Yeah, and people are saying Cleon isn't unchanged as Cleon Mucus. They're pretty much the same person, except one is male but voiced by a woman. The other one is actually a female, and adds kind of humor to the mix as well. Void Knight serves as the core antagonist, kind of like how I was in the Strongest Battle, but his story is like based off like a Batman and Robin influence there. Yeah, there's a few other shows I was thinking of that kind of come into play. I was thinking Black Panther, because the Red Ranger and the Six Ranger are African Americans, but are fish out of water. You know, Zion might be the new Golden. There was different Golden Rangers past, but I think sometimes are feeling that he is the OG Gold. What are your thoughts on that? Drop that in the comments below. And so it looks like the Morphin Masters, who are Stington passing in the original series, they are going to play a bigger role in this season because they created the Dino Gems, the Energems, the Ninja Nexus Prism, and now the Dino Fury's own powers, which is kind of quite interesting. I haven't really followed the comics. I read the Tommy one shot. I've kind of wanted to, but I wasn't quite sure where to start. So if anybody wants something like that, drop the deets, drop some deets down there, you know. And also, Jane Jayborg. Jane is Amelia's boss, and later Javi's, and she gets a robotic assistant to eventually replace her. And they're the more slapstick duo of the season, but I would agree that comedy is more Sparrow. And they had a fun thing with the kids warning them about like Sporix, but well, obviously they don't like act. They aren't like patient enough to care, but the kids step up. It did seem kind of nice, like Captain Planet and stuff, but like it says like boomer and vibing, so it is fits with the times. Is Javier siblings, short for Isabella and Javier. Their dad is called Warden Buzzkill, and we even like got into it saying that their dad is pretty much a Trumper. Trumper, a climate, like a denier, the whole bit. So I see like there was like introducing the disabilities, but again, episode 4, I can see why people would feel that, you know, it's just about the Zord debut and there's not much substance. But that whole bit with the Zord was not that bad. Again, I like to see more representation. I wasn't quite sure how they would adapt the 10th episode of Ray Soldier. I was just thinking they would save it for like a dream sequence type thing like I did. But they made it a superstition episode, which So it still keeps kind of the humor of her knocking stuff over in the Megazord fight, but yeah, I was thoroughly surprised. And technically, if you were resorting 30 Nights Ping to a dream, unfortunately, but hey, they fixed that. They did original footage for 30 Nights Blue, so all the alternate, so all the forms blue, pink, green, black appear before Five Nights does. I kind of like it both ways. Not sure which one I prefer. How Right Soto did, where we get green and black before blue and pink, or getting all five and then leading into it. What are your thoughts on that? Drop it. Tell me why. And I only feel there are definitely points like having watched the series about how footage goes in and out between what Simon and his crew are doing in New Zealand with the original Japanese footage. But I still feel like they each can stand on their own. Like Ko and Zato, they're very distinct. Particularly like but I feel like from both they are more calmer and collected than like, Kaito or someone like that. Mick comes back and he actually kills 100%, owns a steakhouse, and that is like kind of mentioned. And also the package that he transforms into to get into Buzz Blast, it mentions Shortland Street, which a lot of the cast and crew over the years since moving to New Zealand have had some role in major, minor kind of scenes on crew. It does kind of seem like a rite of passage in New Zealand to be on Shortland Street. Like when you've achieved a certain amount of fame when you get called to guest star on Sesame Street. It's interesting how they stagger the debuts of the Kikaloids in Zenkaiger, and then we kind of get the movie in the Zenkai Red special, and then the more recent stuff with Stacy and his stuff. Maggie has a crystal ball, which is kind of like interesting, like she tells fortunes and all that, which I think it's follows more closer to the Maji Ranger style of going more into magic, more in-depth magic fantasy, where there's more of a darker tone to Mystic Force, from what I've heard. Well, it's kind of like Wizard of Waverly Place, where it's like with wizardry comes responsibility, kind of like the Spider-Man quote. But it does seem the Zenkai Red stuff was all a dream, and the four Kikaloids do get human forms there. Kind of the costume for that are very nice. Kind of wish they're used again, but I do think some of them are based off the style, the aesthetics of the season they're a part of. And Vroom is actually the curious one. That's how he gets into working with the Tojendo, the bad guys of the season, as a cleaner. And obviously that backfires when he learns that once one of the monsters, which are object world, that are defeated, they then are like liberated from Chendo control. So he kind of has a bounty on his head because of that, but the others, not so much. They are, even though a Gaon is kind of races against his fellow Kikanoids. And that's that definitely comes up more once he's turned to human in the Zenkai Red special, that I can't fight for humans if I am one. It just doesn't feel right. But Froome is also the neat freak, again, because of his work at the Jindo. He was a cleaner. And that episode made me think about Wall-E, like how like the world is just like covered in trash, and then like obviously Wall-E finds the planet, they come back to Earth and start cleaning up and start growing things again. I kind of thought Stacey was gonna be like the prince or something of Tojindo, but he's just like his dad was like one of the big, like more militaristic looking. I think his head has a cannon on top. He's like very historic general look to him. He's just like a kid with an absent father, but since he's like a hybrid because his dad's a robot, his mom is immortal. His 893rd wife, to be exact, is the result of him. So it is the result. So because he is not quite fully human, so he is pretty much comes in as like a guinea pig of the scientist guy who has like a cool design. Actually reminds me of Octoroo a bit, but that is, I think it's more of just me thing. And kind of we end up with two characters showing up at the very end of episode 8, and that's where we are at this point. We're between episodes 8 and 9. That's time of this live stream. Episode 9 will be airing tomorrow in Japan, but still tonight for us here in the States. At least for me in the States. You know, if you're outside the States, tell me so in the comments below. But hey, on to the other half, Zenkaiger's other half. Kamen Rider Saber. Talking about this one for quite a bit. Got some cool ideas for the adaptation, though. I'll get to that at the next. I'm talking about the next live stream later on, but I'll actually do that after this before I go into the Disney segment. So if you want, if you only want to stay for Disney, you know. So this arc kind of begins with Rika being a writer and ends with Rintro's new form. I kind of like it. I called Rintro's form Icebreaker, an idea that Rika and Bacht actually create a new third writer for that trio there, like evil spirit writers created, and whole links them into the whole like universe. It's kind of a bit like there's more like of an MCU style to like how the Saber worked, because obviously it's new teams every year, but technically there's a gap between Operation Deep Sea and the Kamen Rider series of actually 18 years after Shining Spirits the season before Operation Deep Sea, and it's more a sequel to that, although you have same members appearing in Operation Deep Sea, so it's more developed off that, and there is kind of a through line through, but obviously each one at least misses one season. Like there's only like a Vigiliner in China, in the Super Force finale, Fam in the Core Fam, Thralls United, Ghost Kids, Shining Spirits, and then Logan, Natalie, Sophia, and the kids are in the Red Guardians, and then Operation Deep Sea. The only enthusi in that is Sarah, and she doesn't show up till the second half when she takes over an ice cream store on the Jersey Boardwalk, which is actually a reference to real events, although Sarah now lives in Florida and all that, but yeah, there is a reference. There's a real connection there. Kento is actually quite pessimistic about the future, it seems, because obviously he's seeing stuff that he did not envision with the powers of Caliber. He shut off the abilities of Daishinji and Ren, but Ren still has his books and stuff, and it looks like Ren and Zask are gonna like team up or like have a combined form or something. I'm not quite sure if that part there was like a fan fiction thing or whatever. Zeus and Nigel had some good final bits there. I hope we get new generals in, because that'd be cool. I don't know if we have anything beyond like Ren possibly being Megiddo or something like that. Things that's southern base and story is ally, so that might just be where things go. No new Megiddo until maybe like the final 5 episodes or something like that, but yeah, so I feel like I've kind of gone into a lot of my thoughts on my writer fanfic already. Okay, so yeah, just a reminder is that I might talk about the Toku movies, which would be 01 Real Time, The Book of Ruin from 01, Major Bebop Dream, Major vs. Right Soldier. Might do that as a live stream on Instagram at some point. Probably like if I have like a morning off, from work or like the museum or something, and then maybe from that museum location or lunch in town, that I'll just go pick up live stream. Just want to do it on the campus of Cedar Point and all that, just because reasons. But yeah, if you plan on coming out to Cedar Point this summer, if you're within 1,000 miles of Sandusky, be sure to come on out. But yeah, other than like being based there, don't really want to get into fall thoughts yet. And if I do, I would do a separate video over for history and leisure. I do think, regardless of your subscriber count, you can upload videos to YouTube from mobile, but you'd need like 1,000 to stream. So yeah, that's why I'm going to do over the Instagram, and that will be still going to keep Lindsay Entertainment name for YouTube and the Instagram. But yeah, with these launch of history and leisure, the Instagram for that is history_leisure, and that's the same for Twitter now, but the title part is still the same. Part of both handle that is still the same as it was, and that is just going to be, whatever. I don't feel I need multiple Twitter accounts, TBH. And in terms of Facebook stuff, I will be sharing SF Fanny Online for my history and leisure stuff, just because. And then the YouTube for that, again, is history, the Ansign and leisure for the other channel. So yeah, if you like stuff like the Carpetbagger and the Woo, that's kind of where I jam with amusement parks, Renaissance fairs, museums, other adventures big and small. Be sure to check it out. Before we continue on to the Disney After Disney segment, if you're not already subscribed and you like more TV and film content, comment, like, subscribe, strike the bell over here. Oh yeah, if you're theme park stuff, that's history, Ensign, and leisure. Comment, like, subscribe, and strike the bell. All right, so I cut it. I think I actually already seen Splash by the time of the last stream, but I said, I'm gonna cut it just and not push it back so I can talk about both Mermaid films. But yeah, Splash was the start of Touchstone. Apparently, there's a few other films I didn't know that were under Touchstone, like Pearl Harbor, and allegedly, when BFG was being produced in the 90s at Paramount, is going to be distributed through Touchdown, which to me makes no sense whatsoever. And apparently Disney and Walden worked on that, along with like Amblin and DreamWorks, for the first time since Prince Caspian. They backed out Dawn Treader, and technically Prince Caspian thing was still up at Hollywood Studios during the run of Dawn Treader. So Disney was planning a Fox film, really. And now Dawn Treader's back in, along with most of the Star Wars and Marvel stuff, and Lucasfilm. But also that Fox deal gave them Power Rangers 95 and Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. I think that would be easier to give to Hasbro than to tell Universal to drop Black Panther. We don't care about anything else in Marvel Island, just so we can build a Wakanda Pavilion over in the World Showcase. I don't know. That's just me. I'd say it's still a PG film, but I think it's just more like the violence and what adult material there is doesn't quite classify as PG-13. I think it's mostly violence is very minimal, but it's still more sure. And like, I think it's John Candy's character, right? The older brother. He's quite a pervert. Dope. Guy like him would not fly today. Actually, didn't quite remember the ending. Back at the time, it is quite twisted, where obviously Tom Hanks ends up going into the ocean, and kind of feels like there's a joke that all of Tom Hanks get lost at some point, and they have to be rescued. Here, that's not the case. He wants to get lost in the end, and he does, and we don't care. Not even the sequel deals with that at all. And also, antagonism, that's kind of gray here in this film, which it's kind of like a question of like justice, which kind of finds the difference between, well, Saber here is so drop flying by, and like Zenkaiger. Like Zenkaiger's more black and white, but Rider not so much. But there's not as much as open for opinion now in modern Rider series, where you still have to pick, where it's just more like disagreeing with one's opinion and just kind of ending up assimilating to the other for little reason. But yeah, Little Mermaid, that begins a resurgence, the Disney Renaissance. It's kind of interesting, like seeing like all like whole animation shakeups, like with the poor lack of films during like the 70s, and almost like abandoning of animation, linked to Don Bluth to create his own studio, which is kind of rocky history. If you've been watched the video Sarah Spark made about Don Bluth, be sure to check it out. And then obviously years later, once Iger's in and Wells died, and the whole thing, Katzenberg creates DreamWorks with Spielberg and a guy named David Geffen. Actually, I would say, like, even it's been a hot minute since I have watched Princess and the Frog. Eric and Grimsey do remind me of Devine and Lawrence from Princess and the Frog. But, well, then again, actually, Little Mermaid and Princess and the Frog are directed by the same guys. And also, like, the ending sequence of The Little Mermaid is the first time they used the cap system instead of doing hand-drawn animation, which is created by Pixar. And obviously, they bought them in 2006. But Pixar started as a computer company because Steve Jobs got ousted from Apple. So he decided to buy a special computer for, very expensive, very powerful computer, hoping the military would get it, but no. Disney buys its stock. called the pick, and that is a symbol used in some of the early Pixar films, like like Wall-E and Luxor Jr. They use the computer as a symbol, but obviously once Luxor Jr. came out, he becomes part of the eye in Pixar. Obviously, like Toy Story 2 brings to mind Buzz Lightyear Star Command, because obviously that kind of replaced it in the slate of direct-to-video sequels, even though it did become a series, which Pixar doesn't really like, and I guess that's kind of why Lasseter greenlit Lightyear, because I think that's the last film Lasseter greenlit before he left. I'll say about that, he left. Now, I think there is like a theory out there about Al's car becoming Flo in Cars. We're talking about how Pixar universe is like interconnected. I don't think like Cars was in their minds yet when they're making Cars 2. I mean, only Cars was in their minds making Toy Story 2. But I'm sure it was with Toy Story 3 and Cars 2 came out rather close together, so I don't know what I was going with there. There's a cool slinky joke right there with like who's behind it. Just literally hit his tail, and that is actually quite a funny part. And like in order to save money, it did become a full feature thing of screen theaters. They used Jerry's model to fix Woody, although I think they did change his eye color. In there, also like thinking like this is pre 9/11 Toy Story 2, so I can easily get on the next flight without dealing with TSA, and had some faxing to do. The scene in the like seeing the conveyor belt system in the airport and on the runway, that whole like bit right there, that really is like one of my favorite, at least animated sequences ever. But going to Luxor Jr. and Wall-E, that whole more plastic design of the characters, like one of the reasons why they don't really focus on human characters until like Jerry and like after Monsters Inc. But it's because of like buying Pixar and fixing the studio that we got Shorts back in and Get a Horse, which aired before Frozen. So we had like the old meets new, it's like the tradition of that. But yeah, before I do get to Frozen though, this is probably the most controversial segment of this entire series, is that I think that there's in Mickey's Melodrama, an old segment from the 30s, which is retelling of Uncle Tom's Cabin, there is animal cruelty and drag and blackface at the same time in that film. So drag and blackface, that sounds a lot worse than just blackface itself. Just me. But Goofy in that short is very Uncanny Valley. So I would say just for Goofy being in the Uncanny Valley, I would not recommend to watch that at all. A lot of people in my group were saying, the class was saying that Song of the South is not. If we ignore all racial issues that film may or may not have, the film itself just is not that. It's just not a quality film. Like, and that's probably a good reason why Disney has never released it to begin with. It's just not of good quality. Even without the racial stuff, which Disney was warned about and refused to listen to. But like I mean, in the film, like women reading this is like reading instruction, then I think they are like richer, so I would make sense that women might have that ability to be literate, but it's still kind of, I was like, for a racist movie, you give women that power, which kind of goes back to like almost contradicts it when the son is put in charge and that the women have to approve the dog of him having the dog, which they refuse to approve of Johnny having the dog. So there is a lot of power balance issues in the film. I'm not sure if they're accurate to the time when the film is set, or if it's that, or it's so messed up in general, even without racial issues. That's probably good that it's probably better if the film was just released in the public domain, just people can study it without going through very like backwards methods and all. And come on, like Disney doesn't have to make profit off of it. So that kind of means like they don't really care as much, like saying that they accepted that they've made a mistake, but they no longer profit off of it. So yeah. And Toby is the little black boy that's about his age, and they kind of, he throws a pill at him and they laugh, which I definitely feel like that would be viewed as very mean. Even if they're like the same age, I still feel that as kind of mean. Actually, I feel like there's one part where I feel like one of the clothes that like the mom makes for Johnny, I think it looks a lot more colonial and not like Victorian like the mom. I do think this would be Victorian. I think that's 1846 to the turn of the century is considered the Victorian era, if I am not mistaken. But I do feel like the idea of the puppy and the girl is also an interesting parallel to Charlotte's Web. Even I think Charlotte's Web didn't come out till after this film came out. It's like a similar period where come out like the thing was like done just after World War II, and that was more like Cold War Americana, strong Christian themes in Charlotte's Web. So I feel like one of the things I found is like, even with Disneyland clip, when I wrote this for like part one, I said like Brer Fox sounds like if Donkey were high. So yeah, it really sounds like a lot like Eddie Murphy. Sounds a little mean to me, but it's true. And I think Burabet was redone for Splash Mountain because Burabet doesn't sound like how he does in Splash Mountain, at least to me. I wrote it in December 2014. So yeah, my mind, even at that, is quite fuzzy. I thought Phil in Splash Mountain Brer is more like George Mice of Men, but I don't quite see it as much here. But I still feel that Brer High has some learning difference. Because of this whole dog issue, it's because ties with Uncle Ramus and all that, but and it's different clothing from this, but for the whole birthday sequences, he's wearing red, and obviously there's a bull on the property, so bull sees red, and well, it was as a different color that the bull wasn't as annoyed by, the bull would still outrun the kid. And for a second, I thought the kid died. But no. Nope. Kid lives. Uncle Remus is up there for a little bit, but this again, if there's any sequence that was I saw it in black and white. There's things in color again. This is the whole laughing place sequence, and that's actually a bit before the bull sequence. Yeah, I think it does come down to the stage dialect. And, well, again, I feel like there's some, like, things I feel like counter each other, like, should the women be in power and control, have more control over Johnny, or should Johnny have power over them? But I think Johnny's 8, and Leslie's 12, at these like big turning points when it comes to Terabithia, because that get to that in a few minutes. I don't think I refill that, but I'm just gonna plow through this, get a little over the hour mark. Still quite a ways to go. And again, without the period baggage, there's a lot of films that tackle similar ideas better. Color Friendship, Terabithia, maybe, even though technically both the kids are white, but there's still some interesting things like bullying and all that I do feel like come up in such ideas. Okay, Terabithia might not be a good example, but definitely Color Friendship and Princess and the Frog are definitely probably better examples, or like just better films than Princess and the Frog in terms of representation. But and there's even like there's even better representation than Uncle Remus in the Disney Vault. Like the Jim Crows might be better than Song of the South. So there's an interesting like quote that I wrote down here is birth of a nation glorifies the KKK. It's true that Reconstruction onwards that things have not been the best for people of color or POCs. But I don't think it anyway upholds said values or holy states to overturn Jim Crow. Although I'm sure people on both sides left the theater seeing that. My opinions are kind of quelled because I haven't been warned by melodrama, but wasn't warned about melodrama, but I was warned about something like that. But that doesn't mean that they have any realm of acceptability to the mainstream. Even when aiming to cast more diverse, like market characters, controversy can still come to pass, as with Moana. Things, but this is more about The Rock, but with that, it's interesting is that for the cast of Terabithia, Josh Hudson is Jess. He's been on Hunger Games. Leslie and Sophia Robb. She's Violet in the Chocolate Factory, and was in Because of Winn-Dixie. For some reason, I thought Terabithia had Luna Lovegood's actress, but no. Her big break was Order of the Phoenix, which came out around the same time as Terabithia. But both Anna Sophia Robb and I did not write her name down. But I do have a crush on Luna BT Dub. That's if you want to know that. Yeah, both of those actors read the books before they got their roles. So I think Luna Lovegood's actress even wrote to J.K. Rowling that she would love to play Luna at some point, and well, she got it. Rest is history. And obviously, the female rival in our story here his rough life. I think I go more in depth with it, with like abuse and all that in the book versus the film. But I think other major difference is that Christmas happens in the film, but it's Jess's birthday in the movie. I also have Zoe Deschanel in here as Miss Edmonds, which is another top actress in the film. And then the author's son of Terabithia. This is written for him after he lost a friend in a lightning storm. And then he came on as a consultant for the Walden Media Project. And this, along with Holes, Narnia, and Prince Caspian, are the 4 projects. And then later with Amblin and DreamWorks with BFG in 2016. But they backed up Don Schrader, but they got it back anyway. And all I say is reading through the article stuff on Terabithia, because I was thinking about the final project I wanted to do, is that it was hyped a lot like Narnia, but the all more mystical stuff was really more closer to the end anyway. If anything, I would say after Leslie dies is when you get most more of the Narnia aesthetics in, which is kind of a shame and definitely is a letdown from the trailers. However, New Zealand doesn't have squirrels. No squirrels. But was predominantly shot in New Zealand. It's since southern U.S. Actually reminds me of NorCal Pacific Northwest, which again I feel with Dino Charge, Ninja Steel, a lot of the Neo Sabansis, and even Dino Fury. I feel that's more Pacific Northwest. No, it's the museum that they go to around the time when Leslie died that's the Da Vinci Museum. I was thinking that'd be cool for a Q Ranger or Lupad adaptation to use, but even if it's still around, it probably would be very expensive to shoot there and not really worth Hasbro's money to do that, just considering what Power Rangers is at this point. Anyways, I'm talking about race to talk about gender next, right? And just kind of where it started getting back into chronology of things. And for this class, it was the first time I've seen the original since the sequel came out. Actually, quite a strong attachment to Voulier, because if you do not know, that was one of the songs they sang in Europe back in 2016. Currently, I think the plan is for the AMA arc is going to be from June 24th to July 14th, but celebrating the arc that happened as it was 5 years ago. So if I'm quite going to use the songs as much, I do not remember. But yeah, I still have the lyrics right in here in the folder. Is it yes. Still have all of Noel's handiwork right here. Yeah, and Voulier is right on front. Na 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 hey na na. Yeah. For una canzone. Dio di cames gratis. Hear my prayer. Some folks. Hold me, rock me. Hush, somebody's calling me. Actually, a lot of these are African American spirituals, which kind of fits in this as well. The philosopher, that's actually quite funny. And this Deo, I believe, was one that we only did the final conflict. We practiced it, obviously, at Albright and in Italy, but I don't think we actually did it until and only in Colen's. think Angel is also one that we didn't really do a lot. Then there's one, another original. I'm not sure if I like Let It Go Now more than Frozen Heart, but I still really like that song. I don't know, might be when the number takes is that it's Frozen Heart is cut from the Broadway version, so I'll say I'm very different than the guy who watched it when it first came out in 8th grade. And by then, I hadn't even been to Europe yet. I hadn't seen a point yet. I think I only just ran El Toro for the first time at this point when Frozen came out. Before I was really doing like YouTube or anything, I don't think I considered doing YouTube yet until like another month after this came out, because I really wanted to comment on something. Hey, I kind of really want to anyway. And then I have Crush on Time. She transitioned like 3 or 4 years ago now. Still kind of hits me in the gut a bit, but I think one of the reasons I still like Frozen Heart so much is because it goes back to my love of like shanties and work songs, which again, also like fully probably a bias. And also like I was saying, some of this music sounds like Tim Burton's work, especially like with the Return to Han sequence that reminds me of like, I'm not sure if it's Batman 1989 or like, it does remind me of like scores I've heard in the Lego Batman games. And in my opinion, Elsa fixed her own problem, which makes her a very powerful woman. Elsa's regret has nothing to do with the act of true love in question. Anna was only connected to the act of true love. She was the one that was injured. She solved her own problem. It's just a coincidence that she rescued her sister and XYZ happened. I know. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Drop that in the comments below. And I think even Ismael clearly mentioned love is an open door now that I'm thinking about of Hans. Because as Achilles said, he was going to stay in Arendelle. Although he does keep his true colors hidden until Elsa is captured. So I never really got the moral of a bit of a fixer-upper until watching the film again. But it was kind of remind me of that's what Bilbo Baggins hates from the Hobbit trilogy, as it's pretty much mostly a Kristoff roast. I have yet to see Raya, but you could say Frozen will just keep poking at princess tropes. But it does sound like there is like a whole globetrotting aspect to Raya, so I definitely want to watch at some point. And so like Once Upon a Time is kind of like Kamen Rider where there are 2 timelines, but I'm kind of mixed on it. Most of the concept was brought up in class because what's going like there's a queer relationship in Once Upon a Time is queer baiting, where you just like throw random characters in the background, just like 1 segment. That's you might as well just not done that. it's nothing. It's not, to rephrase something I was been reading with working on the article, is it's not queer enough. I'm sure people agree with that one, right? It's something I have yet to watch 3 and 4 in full, or at least it's been a very long time that I can't remember watching 3 and 4 in full. But I have watched 1 in full now, along with 2 and 5 in the theater. Think of that Poison Apple, that is actually, reference Snow White. That's gonna like pull in. There's a nice reference to Kingdom Pearl to like a car, which I think does make it more grounded and relatable to the audience. And this is a transition of killing off Touchstone, even though it doesn't only happen for like another 10-ish years after Black Pearl. And obviously, around that same time, Touchstone kills off. You have a romance between someone of a higher status and of a lower status within the British royal family, which it's kind of interesting parallel there in hindsight. Had really no interest in. I did need to see part of the Guardians of the Galaxy when they're on the that like one planet where they met the Collector. Like that whole just bit like once, but I actually really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. Like having John C. Reilly's cameo, like, and a bit more like mature spin on those Chris Pratt and John C. Reilly, like seeing that, because I'm used to like seeing them as Ralph and Emmett. So anyway, like those characters would not really would not bring up anything close to what John C. Reilly's character and Peter Quill do in Guardians of the Galaxy. So that is just, but like the special effects, like I have to applaud those guys. Like know that like right up now that those guys probably suffer, and women, as suffer hell. I wonder if the coincidence that the control tower in the prison is shaped like a UFO. But like also, if like Thanos raising Peter Quill, even though he was supposed to be returned, and people does seem that Peter Quill's dad is an alien, but his mom was immortal, so that's kind of interesting thing there. And apparently, this is the first time the Infinity Stones are introduced, like fully explaining all that. Even though I think Loki was using them in prior films. Kind of reminds me of the Morphing Masters arc a bit, learning like it was explained to me. And it does kind of seem to me that Thanos' daughter is cyborg. Again, I haven't seen Infinity War. Like, I really don't care. It does still feel like fits my interest, like fantasy and sci-fi though. I found Baymax quite cute. It was a bit more of a playful film. That's not like I would say like Mandalorian doesn't skip at all. It is up to a high quality like cinematic quality. $1 million an episode. Most Disney films nowadays are at least 100 mil. Probably definitely way above that. It's interesting to hear about like the Sacred Steel and all that. This is actually after episode 6, like just after, because you still have the currency of the Empire going to kind of like nice interesting tidbit. Baby Yoda is already 50 years old. If they want to, I would have thought they would make him a bit older or like a bit younger. Like, but because his species age very slowly, or maybe a bit younger, so there is a bit more of a childish feel. Like not a teenager, but maybe 10 years younger. But 50 is just a good number. And why was that child held hostage to combat? I don't know that yet. If tell me that's a massive spoiler. That's a massive spoiler. Why he was in that compound. Then again, I kind of want like a very, very basic explanation as to why and what that means for Yoda's race and all that. Maybe that's going a little too far, but just why though? And why was everybody trying to get him and all that? But we're talking about like how this story is kind of like that man meets cute thing. He wants to keep it for himself, and chaos ensues. I got to episode 4, which was like they're on the outpost. They meet the female where I think she's gonna be. I think she's more of a recurring character in the series, or maybe like a lead in the second season. So yeah, so again, ideas is more Disney stuff. That's on Disney Plus. I have a whole like list, like Dino, Core, Turbo Ranger, X8. Those are the 4 main Toku I'm looking at. But since Dino is actually getting a full official release by Toei, I'm probably going to focus on Turbo Ranger and restarting X8. But probably I'm going to focus on Turbo Ranger first because I want to watch that more. And I did watch the pilot once for actually a few years back. But yeah, and Korra as well. I might actually start Korra first because I said I wanted to. Because I watched Avatar and then I watched the Toku series, and I said I was going to start Korra as soon as I was done with that, which I was done for the previous episode of Talking Toku Live. Yeah, whoever is on that like Toku block, that Korra is starting that off, and then it'll probably between Turbo Ranger and X8 since Dino is getting an official release. And I'll just wait and see how things go with that. Saying all that, yeah. So Raya, Book of Life, Ulysses, Secrets of Silver Springs were the first 4 things I saw. And then I'm adding it right now. Finish Mando. And obviously I have the other, or I started the list for the Toku movies. Actually, I haven't done anything down for Phoenix Swordsman yet. Should probably do that. But I'm going to do that after the trade. Now, I put Bebop Dream in that first block. Kikai Major, Reverse Raisoja, and Mitsubuchi Nare. And then obviously I'll add more Mandarin to that slate. But I think I'm probably just gonna focus more on like a separate movie special on Instagram. And then yeah, so next time on I've actually decided to call it a new thing. You may or may not have noticed it because I already scheduled it. It's called decided to call it. This is actually announcing the new name of my new channel come this live stream. August 28th, 2021, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. GMT. Lindsay TV Film, the podcast, episode 1. more than just Toku, because obviously talking about Disney stuff, kind of gone off the rails with other stuff in the past in these way of series. So yeah, so we're wrapping up Saber reviews. Kamen Rider Saber, Legend of Korra, Power Ranger probably. Lots of new riders. Zenkaiger continue. Probably won't have any new Dino episodes unless they air abroad by August. I'm just gonna wait until later on, October, December, to talk more about Dino Fury. I'll get more plans for fall later on, so might just do a separate fall slate. I do feel some of the everything I'm doing now are good material for separate videos to discuss. So yeah, I'm not getting any more personal in that vein of dream stuff for that podcast bit. Just wait until then. So yeah. Is there anything else that I have to say? I could say that I'm officially going to be studying abroad next year. If you didn't see that. But yeah, this is the very last episode. I'm going to try talking Toku Live. At some point, I might just change up the podcast stuff. I mean, playlist stuff for these Toku and related topics. So it'll probably still be called Lindsay TV Film Podcast, or since I split Talking Rangers, might just throw everything Toku related into one playlist, and then not Toku stuff, just random not Toku stuff, as part of the Lindsay TV Film Podcast slate. I think that's how I'm going to do it. I can do that with downtime on my phone. That's going to be a little, or I'm going to take that too. So I can keep my notes on one and record and stream since on the other. But yeah, I have nothing to say. So over here, Lindsay TV, which will be called Lindsay TV Film as of the next live stream. But for now, it's still Lindsay Entertainment here on YouTube, Lindsay Entertainment over on Instagram. But most stuff is shifting over to the History and Leisure label. Twitter and Discord are Lindsay History and Leisure. I think as of right now, I haven't changed that for. I'll check right now. I'll check right now. Okay, on Discord, I am just Lindsay. Not just Lindsay. It's just my name. There is only Lindsay. Nothing with History and Leisure there, because that's the name of my gilded group. Didn't mention that yet. I'll probably drop a link to that in here and on the channel video, on that first video, and on the videos over on History and Leisure. But yeah, most everything else, Twitter at History_Leisure, Instagram History_Leisure, the other channel History and Sign Leisure. And I use the SFN link Facebook. I'm mod for that. Still technically under this account. I'll just change it and add some more people to that. Still a part of it over on SFN Online. Might do more articles and stuff. Talk about what I kind of plan to do with that rule over the summer, being at the point and all. But yeah, this will do it. Comment, subscribe. Subscribe to either or both channels. And I'll see you next time.